Hi, I'm John Towsley with ThoughtRock, here today talking again about IT service catalogs and how we're going to build that. So we identified in the other video segments that the first thing we need to do is establish a mandate from within and across IT to build this IT service catalog. We also said we need to understand what the definition of a service is and that the critical success factor will be in defining the IT services. So given that my premise is that the technical service catalog is really the building block to success in terms of how you're going to define and roll out your IT service catalog, I think it's important that we talk a little bit about what a service is and how you're going to define that service. So let's use a couple of common examples. When I do this in class, most of the time I ask people to define services, break them into groups. Every group will define email as a service. And that's okay. It's not a really bad example. It's maybe not a great example, but it is a service that we offer to the business. I challenge them to think a little broader about the service in total. So email is a component of a service, but what we're really offering is communication and or messaging to corporation. And email is one component of that. So in most corporations now, there's some form of text messaging, instant messenger. Email messages are delivered to desktops, to PDA devices, to notebooks. They may be also accessible over the web. There is, in a lot of cases, some telephony going on where you have voicemail messages that are automatically bundled into email messages and forwarded to your users. All of those things can be defined as part of a broader service in terms of communication. If we look at the technical service catalog, our job is to figure out what are all the components that make up that service. So I may be running a Microsoft Exchange server or 5 or 10. I may have BlackBerry Bez servers. I may clearly need internet services. Those internet services are going to need to be available in order to provide web access, in order to provide access to the outside world for our email services. And as we talked about, if we're using some kind of a messenger as a standard communication within our organization, clearly that also needs to be available. The other parts of that service then, by default, are the operating systems and the software running on our desktops and notebooks. If I want full functionality in terms of the ability to open up attachments, edit, and manage those on a PDA device, then I have even more components to this service. So I may need Windows CE machines, or it could be that I have Palm or BlackBerry or Apple devices, and I'll need to define all of those as part of the service if, in fact, we've agreed with our customers that those are things they expect to be delivered. A lot of organizations face the challenge of archiving, not just for backup and for efficiency in terms of IT processing, but there may be legal requirements. So if you're asked to produce an email trail in a court of law and you don't have it because your service wasn't defined to include that feature, you could be in big trouble down the road. That's why I say the technical service catalog is the place to start. So it's not difficult to sit down with a customer and say, hey, they want a web interface where they can request a new email address. But you really need to define all of the technical components and the services you're going to deliver so that we make sure when we offer a business service catalog, we know the questions to ask in terms of what it is that the user wants. Let's talk a little bit about that business service catalog. If we look at that from our customer's perspective, what is it that we want to present to them in terms of a service offering, and how should that catalog look? Well, it's a lot simpler. We're not going to bother them with, do you need access to the Bez server? The kind of things we need to ask, though, is, well, how big does your mailbox need to be? How many messages are you going to need to store? Do you need to archive messages? For how long? How do you need access to those messages? Are you a salesperson who's on the road who needs to be editing Word and Excel documents on your PDA? If so, then part of your mail service will drive the kind of handheld device that you're going to have. All of those things are critically important. When we then look at automation and presenting that service catalog to our clients, these parameters will give us some filters to look at. We'll talk about that in the next video.